All right, guys. Well, obviously it wasn't good enough today. Got to give credit to the Rams. They did a good job executing, finishing the game. You know, say every week, there's positives to build off of. We'll make sure we go ahead, we magnify those as a team. And obviously there's a lot of things that we've got to fix, and we got to do better as a team to be able to have success. So that being said, I'll open up for questions.
Joe, you mentioned positives you can build on. Were there any that you saw?
Yeah, you know what? I challenge the guys at halftime. I want to see who's going to finish the game. I want to see what kind of fight some of these guys had. So we'll go through the tape, but there were some guys I could see with the eye test right away. There were some guys that fought and finished right there, and that's how we're going to do things around here. So we're going to compete for 60. We got to do some things technically better, fundamentally better calls at times. But I want to see who's going to finish this game, who's going to fight.
Coach, to follow up on that, I know you want to look at the film and everything, and you know, but from your eye test, did you see maybe a few guys that maybe weren't giving that 100% effort in the second half?
Yeah, I'm going to wait till I finish the tape right there to go ahead and give you that answer.
So what was the thought process behind keeping Daniel in?
Because we're going to compete for 60 minutes.
No concern, banged him off the line to have him out there in that situation?
I'll watch how the game flow's going right there. We're going to compete for 60 minutes.
Joe, obviously your offense, your line, Daniel were all ineffective in the first half. What went wrong? How disappointing was that? That you guys were non-competitive offensively in the first half.
Well, there's some things we had to do better, obviously. You know, I like the way we started the game. We were able to play with good tempo, move the ball down, convert some tough third downs. You know, we want to finish in the red zone with touchdowns, not field goals. So we got to do better in that situation right there. In terms of the way we started the game, I was really pleased on both sides of the ball. Some things that hit kind of as the first half went on, we had to correct and fix and get moving forward. So in terms of the specifics on that right there, I'm going to watch the tape before I go ahead and assess everything.
Tony goes out, Andrew Thomas goes out. I said Tony goes out.
Yep.
Andrew Thomas goes out. How much did you think, especially on that side of the ball, you were just outmanned?
I got faith in the guys on our roster. Whoever's at the game, you got to produce. That's it. It's what we practice for all week. You come to the game, you're a professional, you're expected to go out there and produce.
Any updates on Tony or Thomas, their injuries?
I have nothing on Tony or Thomas. CJ, I was told he broke his arm. So I don't know exactly where that's going to put everything timetable-wise, but, you know, he's a tough kid. He does a really good job competing. You know, you hate it for a guy like, you hate it for any guys. You hate it for a guy like CJ, who really has pushed through every situation he's been asked to be in and just keeps finding a way to make himself necessary as a player on a roster.
Joe, you figure out, I know you haven't watched the tape, but what changed after that first offensive series? Because it really, you had the tempo, you seemed to have them on their back foot a bit, and we just didn't see that the rest of the game.
Yeah, obviously there was some execution we got to clean up and some things we got to do better as far as how we're going to compete and play this game. I'm going to wait for the film before I go ahead and start assessing everything right there. But it obviously wasn't good enough.
Did you sense some of the air went out of the team when Kadarius went down?
No, I thought we were able to finish that drive right there as far as moving. I don't think anyone wants to see somebody get hurt. Everyone likes the way this guy works and pushes through and competes. He's obviously a productive player for us. He's a young guy. He's got a long way to go, but he's been a very productive player and competitive player for us. You know, in terms of that kind of air going out, like that's not our job. That's not our job. Our job is not to get discouraged or deflated based on a player going out. Like there's times you don't want your teammates or players to be injured. That's every time, right? You don't want to see someone get hurt. But in terms of like something happening and just going ahead and just the air going out of the room, no, we can't be that way. We can't be that way. I mean, look, we got to have faith in all the guys in that locker room. We all work very, very hard, right? So you got to have faith in the guy next to you to come in and do his job.
How much was that ankle bothered him just to play, and then did he re-aggravate the same injury he had?
I don't know the second answer right there, and I'm going to let him speak for himself on that right there. But obviously he was, clear to go out there. He was very productive, early in the game, those first few plays.
You wore road uniforms to recognize the Super Bowl team. What are your thoughts on their halftime ceremony and just a performance on this kind of day?
Well, I'll just keep those two things isolated right there. Obviously, there's a lot of respect for the accomplishments of that team right there. They earned the right to have that. Going out there and hearing Coach Coughlin talk to the crowd, obviously, that's someone who's earned all the time he wants. Did a lot of significant things for this club, for this city. We have a tremendous amount of respect for the history of this organization, the men who came before us. And look, obviously, there's a responsibility to uphold the tradition of how we want to play. Didn't do that well enough today.
Joe, when you put pressure on them, it seemed to shut down their passing game. When the pressure went away, those guys were making plays. I mean, how did they adjust?
How do they adjust? Well, I think we got to do a better job stopping the run. That kind of helps alleviate pressure right there for any offense. But I like the way our defense was able to get after them early on and put pressure on Stafford. That helped us be in some situations, force some errant balls, get some sacks, get off the field, things of that nature right there. You got to make sure you stop the run more effectively to keep in passing situations, be able to get yourself into certain calls.
What was essentially, obviously without being specific, the message to the guys when you're in there? What's the theme of what you had to say to them after?
I'm talking about right here, right now, leaving? Yeah, we're coming back, we're going to work. We got things to improve on. So we come back on Wednesday, there's time to get going to work. Get your bodies right, get your minds right. We're coming around, we want to lick our wounds around here. There's a lot of ball left to be played. Our goal every week is to go 1-0. Our goal is to get better every week as a team, as the season progresses. That goal doesn't change. You talk about the big picture? Yeah, the big picture is the little picture. That's next week. The big picture is how we handle next week. How we practice, how we improve, how we prepare, and how we come out and we execute. So that's our focus has to be as immediate 7 days from now. We got 7 days to get ready for another good opponent coming in here. And that's what our focus has to be.
Joe, do you feel like, obviously the message has been process over results.
Yep.
Do you feel at all that message is not getting through to the guys from what you're seeing, maybe not during practice, but on game day?
No, I don't see anybody trying to find a way to put. No, I don't see anything in that. The way the guys are coming and approaching it and working it. Not having the results. There's things you have to do along the way and things you have to do in the execution, and that's coaches through players on game day to make sure you have better results.
Joe, do you expect that there could be changes based on the challenge that you gave them at halftime and whether guys did or did not respond to that?
Well, we make adjustments every week, okay? And it always comes down to, one, how we call the game as coaches, of how we're going to adjust internally, all right? The responsibilities we give internally, player-wise, it's based on production and performance. And that's it. You got to look at how guys played, make sure you put the best 11 on the field in every situation to have success.
Daniel, two more.
Go, Kim.
Daniel, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Joe, when a team falls to 1-5, though, do you have to find different ways to motivate them, to capture their attention, to implore them to improve, even in, what often at 1-5 becomes a mostly lost season for a lot of teams?
There's a lot of ball left to be played. We're in week 6. So to turn around and start tapping out now, I don't know what kind of mentality other people have. I don't quit things. These players aren't going to quit things. We're not going to do that. So anyone who's got that mentality of, woe is me, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think you were going to go out there, roll the ball out, and just go ahead and walk through every opponent? It's the National Football League. Teams are good. You've got to play better than them in that 60 minutes every Sunday to have success. So in terms of the motivation aspect, our motivation is to improve and perform for the man next to us. I don't see any dip in how our guys prepare. They come to work, I'll tell you all the time, they're good at meetings, they're good at practice, they compete hard. You guys have to leave after individuals on, Wednesdays and Thursdays, okay? At some point, if, we stayed out there the entire time, you'd see a group of guys go out there and they empty the tank and they work hard and they prepare well. We've got to have better results on Sundays. That's a mix of factors. We'll go through that internally and make sure we're doing things, make necessary adjustments to have those. In terms of the motivation of the team, I'm just telling you this right now. We don't have a room full of guys right now looking around and wondering. We don't have a room full of guys who are waiting for next year. We don't have a room full of guys who are waiting for someone to show up and save us. Okay, the only one who can make an impact to change anything that we're doing are all the men in that room. The coaches, the players, that's it. Okay? So we're in that submarine right now. All right? Something happens wrong in that submarine, it's got to be someone on that ship to step up and save that thing, right? You spring a leak, someone's got to plug that thing for you. No one's coming. No one can get there in time to help you if you don't fix it yourselves. So we rely on ourselves. And that's how we come back on Wednesday and we prepare.
As far as Daniel, Daniel had some of the problems that, were hurting him last year with the fumbles and the interceptions. He went back to that. He seemed to have improved early, and he went back to that.
Yeah, Daniel's improved a lot as a player. I'm not going to go ahead and start to magnify that. Obviously, we don't have turnovers in the game. There's a lot of things that happen. We'll look ahead specifically on what happened. Look, Daniel's improved as a player. Daniel's a guy that we're having success with. He's a tough dude. He's a good competitor. He's a leader on this team. Does everything we ask him to do. Does everything the team needs to see a guy in a leadership standpoint do and perform. So we're going to have success with Daniel. There are obviously things we have to clean up from today. Specifically, you're asking about the interceptions. And look, these are things we have to talk and address in terms of, how are we executing on plays. That's not always tied into just one person. There's things that different people have to do on those plays to make sure you have a chance to have success. So, obviously the statistic of what the turnovers were, that is what they are. However, I'm not going to try to, go back and talk about the past with anything that's happened with any player. I'm focused on what they're doing now and going forward towards the future. This is a guy that's made a tremendous amount of improvement for us, and obviously he's going to help us have success going forward in the future.
Andrew Thomas, a new injury. It was an ankle, and he had a foot coming in. Was
Jordan,
it
I don't have any true information on Andrew. I haven't seen Andrew yet. When you're on the sideline, they kind of come up to you and they just kind of say 78's out. They give you kind of a brief, whatever it is. At that point, you're focusing on a lot of other things. You know, I knew CJ's arm was broken because I went out in the field, and when I got over there, they told me, say, Joe, this is what it is.
Could you tell us first about Dallas, your experience there, and what this week was like for you?
Obviously the play on the goal line, and got the wind knocked out of me, and you know, stumbled there, and you know, had no memory loss, and when I got back to the locker room, passed all the tests. So just went through the week, through the concussion tests, and took it a day at a time, what the trainers were asking me to do, and passed all the tests.
Did the lack of reps this week, because you were going through the protocol, did that impact you today in terms of timing and just trying to get your rhythm?
I don't think so. I think you know, I was just still able to get those reps and practice, and I don't think it had an effect.
So that scene with your stomach was kind of a scary scene to see. You're saying that really wasn't like that serious though?
I mean, I went through the protocol. Obviously, I understand the situation, and I, you know, did stumble there, so went through it, and you know, went through the test, passed the test. So.
I'm a little confused. Were you diagnosed with a concussion? You said you passed all the tests. How do you pass all the tests to be diagnosed with a concussion?
I was diagnosed with a concussion because, you know, I stumbled in that moment. That's a symptom of a concussion, but I didn't have a lot of the other symptoms.
Did you feel like you were playing with any reservations, even on run plays like that 4th and 1? Were you nervous at all?
No.
Yeah, if you put a finger on what happened from that first drive today that looked so dynamic and on pace, and you kind of had them on the back foot, and then just the rest of the game, there wasn't that same execution.
I mean, I think we got behind the sticks in a lot of situations and didn't execute. You know, we had a good plan, and we just didn't execute it. So, obviously the turnovers were a big deal, and that set us back.
How much of that plan was Darius, and how much did you miss out with him last 8 plays or whatever it was?
He was a big part of it going in, and has been playing at a high level. You know, made an impact there early on. So, you know, we missed him, but you know, we got good players, and those guys stepped up, and you know, got to execute better.
Could you share with us the two of the interceptions both went to Rapp? He seemed to be playing underneath. What did you see, and was he where he was supposed to be? Can you just share what you saw in those 2 interceptions?
Yeah, he made good plays on both those, and bad decisions on my part, but credit to him, and made 2 good plays.
What did you think of the fans going?
What did I think of it? Yeah, they're upset. We didn't play well. We're certainly upset about that too, so I get it.
Judge said he wanted to see fight from the team in the second half, and that was a challenge at halftime. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I thought guys came back, and you know, we fought all 60 minutes, and defense, offense, I thought we competed. So still wasn't perfect. There were still too many mistakes, but I thought we fought.
And you hit in the blind side a couple times today. You hit late in the game when the score was out of reach. Are you concerned about the physical beating that you're taking week after week?
No, that's part of the game, and you know, I got to do a good job communicating and getting the ball out of my hands. But part of the game, and got to do a good job.
Are you surprised to still be out there at the end when it was so lopsided?
No, I appreciated the opportunity to be in there and compete, and Coach Judge preaches 60 minutes, and you know, that's what the game is. That's how long we're going to compete for. So appreciated the opportunity to be out there.
How different is the offense when Andrew Thomas is up there and you can do what you want to do, and the receivers can get downfield, versus when he's not out there and it seems like everything has to be rushed a little bit?
Yeah, Andrew's a great player. He's played really well for us this year. He's an important piece, but I thought those guys, you know, Matt, Nate, Corey, all those guys stepped in and played well. So got to do a good job making decisions and getting the ball out.
And for most of the game, you played without 3 of your top 4 wideouts. How much did that affect your passing?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have some effect. You know, when you go into a week planning and setting things up. But like I said, guys came in and did well. We've got good players. We got a lot of guys who can make plays, so we got to do a good job. I got to do a good job finding them.
How much was Kadarius' focal point coming in then? I mean, you said that. Curious.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing at a high level, been making a lot of plays for us last week and before that. So, he's a big part of this, and so we were planning on it. But like I said, we gotta do a better job getting the ball to the guys. We got good players, and got to be ready to go.
Nothing you could have done on the strip sack?
Yeah, get the ball out of my hands faster.
That throw last week, that high throw to Saquon, why was that high? Did someone at the line disrupt you there? What happened on that one?
Just a bad throw.
Logan, Patrick Graham said this week you were going to find out. I assume that means find out what you're made of as a defense. What did you find out today?
That we started the game well. We just didn't execute in the red area. We did not hold them to 3 enough, and started off pretty well. But there's a couple short fields. On defense, you got to go put out the fire. We're out there, and the difference between 7 points and 3 points can keep the score in touch. So really, just some of that execution in the red area obviously has been all year, but especially today.
Logan, why are you still in uniform?
I just wanted to get out here and face it, man. I want to get out here and speak to you. I'm one of the captains. Obviously, I pride myself on setting the tone and pride myself on doing things the right way and practicing the right way and treating people the right way and being a role model, being a leader. And, a few weeks ago, I was one of the last people to talk. And I believe our receiver, Colin, was the first one to talk. And I remember someone said, unbelievable, he's the first person to talk. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to be the first person to talk today. I'm going to come out here, own it, speak to you guys, explain the best what I felt happened. And really, we got a unified locker room regardless of how it may look right now. We got to work on that. But the players want to take ownership, and that's why I'm out here first today.
We got blown out on your home field. Are you disappointed? Are you embarrassed? Like, what are your feelings?
Yeah, I'm extremely disappointed. It's not acceptable. I mean, honestly, it's not acceptable, and that's just it. I think we had to go out there the second half and fight the best we could and try to earn some respect back. But it just hasn't been acceptable, the result. So it's not good. It's not good for the fans. It's not good for anybody outside the building. It's not good inside the building. So it just hasn't been acceptable, and I'm gonna do everything I can to try to change that and make that better, one step at a time.
Would you describe the morale inside the room? I know you say you're united, but at 1-5,
yeah,
how would you describe kind of where everybody's mind is?
It hasn't reached our expectations. Obviously, it hasn't reached what we felt, our work ethic, what we put into it. The results haven't added up, and that can get frustrating. And morale is going to be what it is at 1-5. I can't say morale is great, but what you don't have is splintering. You don't have selfishness. You don't have guys in little corners complaining. I think guys are voicing it, and I think guys are unified and believe that we want to play better, we want to do better. So, yeah, I don't think morale is great. I think that's natural. I think when you're competitive and you lose, you get really mad, and it's not always, the best. But at the same point, I just don't feel like we have that type of cancerous locker room where guys are starting to break away. I don't really, honestly, I don't feel that. I would characterize Joe's message of go out and show some fight. Like, go out and see, like, these spots aren't guaranteed. Like, go out and see who. We're going to see a lot on tape about who you are when you're down. You're going to see a lot when it's not going your way, when however it is, like, you have a chance to respond in adversity. So I just think that's what his message was, go out and respond. And I think guys did the best they could. Obviously, don't really know how the second half played out score-wise or whatnot, but I think guys went out there and responded. Obviously, Xavier McKinney went out there and responded really well. I'm happy for him. He's been busting his butt, been working really hard. We've been putting a lot of work in off the field to make plays in the back end, to limit some of these shots, to really clean up some of these tackles in the open field. And I think, he did a better job of that, so I'm happy for him to get 2 of them. He's going to be a really good player in this league, and I think he's showing that.
Logan, there's 2 words that are used around football, effort and execution. How do you assess where the team is effort-wise versus execution?
I think the effort's great. I think without execution, you're not going to win the game. Like, that's just the sport. That's just how it is. Execution is all that matters. And for whatever reason, and we'll see. The execution hasn't been good enough. And look, you guys know, I've been on championship teams. I've been on all types of winning teams. I've been on teams like I've talked about, that were 2-4, trying their butt off and ended up going to AFC Championship, and the execution got better. So we got to obviously fix the execution. We got to make changes to execute better, and we know that. But honestly, guys, it came down, I feel like for my job, it came down to that red area stops, making a score 18, 19-3 or 17 instead of 28 and 30. You can't give up sevens and win this game. You can't. It's critical situations, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. I think for the most part, we did a decent job stopping them early in the game, got a pressure. I think our pass rush played great today. It's just those key situations. We got to do a better job in holding them to 3. That's your job on the defense. We get put on the backside of the 50.
Just to follow up on what Jordan asked earlier, are you embarrassed by that performance? Was that an embarrassing showing for this team?
It was unacceptable performance. I'm not embarrassed because I gave my max effort. So I went out there, I prepared hard. I felt like I led the guys the best I could, and I went out there and played. It just didn't work out. It was hugely unacceptable, but I'm not very, at this point in my life, I don't get embarrassed too often, so I want to say embarrassed is the word.
So how did Daniel look today? I know he was going through concussion protocols during the week, may not have had as many reps as he normally would. What was your assessment of the way Daniel looked today?
I thought Daniel played well. I mean, I think it's on the surrounding cast. I mean, we have to do a better job to help him out, and I don't think we did that today as a unit. We got to play better.
Just do that interception for a second. Seemed like you just
lost my footing on that. That can't happen, and I put that on me. So that one's on me, and I mean a couple of other things that happened throughout the game. We could all say we had a my bad play, and that just can't happen. Not in this league, or the score would turn out like that.
So as a leader on this team, how do you keep that room together? I mean, you're 1 of 5, obviously, not the way you guys wanted to show out today. How do you keep everybody together and locked in?
Yeah, I mean, it just starts with communicating to the guys that we can't give up on each other. We can't start pointing the finger at each other and saying, it was this guy's fault, that guy's fault, or this thing can really go downhill. I've been on teams where that's happened, and you can really start to see a snowball effect. So we got to keep each other's heads up and keep the energy high throughout the week.
On the sideline, what were you saying to the offense and the offensive line there?
Just, man, we got to play with heart, man. I think that's the main thing. You look up at the scoreboard and you can tend to get down. People's heads start to drop. But one thing that we talk about a lot throughout the week, and what we've talked about since we've gotten together as a team, is fight. And no matter what the situation is, we have to fight. So that's my message. That was my message to the guys.
What did you take out of Joe's halftime challenge to the guys?
It was what I just said. I mean, we're going to see who has heart, who's going to try to finish the game and make something happen.
Tony that early, what impact did it have, emotionally and also just in football terms?
You don't want to see anybody go down. I mean, it's going to affect the team in some way, especially a guy like him who's electric with the ball. You don't want to see CJ go down. I'm not sure what happened just yet, but missing Kenny, but none of that matters. We have to have the next guy up mentality, and we gotta get the job done.
You didn't have Saquon, you didn't have Kenny, you didn't have KT, you didn't have Andrew Thomas, you didn't have Darius. So what do you say to the idea that it got to the point where you guys were just outmanned at some point there?
Nah. I think it's the next man up mentality. That's what I just said, and that's what I wholeheartedly believe. We have guys in the stable that can go and that can make plays for us. So we got to figure out a way to execute better.
You've been in a locker room in the past, not to relive the past history, but you've been in where the coach's message kind of rings hollow, says something, walks out, and the guys kind of look around and wonder what he's actually saying. Is the message from Coach Judge and his assistants getting through to this team right now?
Yes, I mean, you look at what he said in halftime, and I saw guys come out and fight, especially from an offensive standpoint. I saw guys come out and fight and didn't give up. So that's encouraging to see.
Is this locker room angry? You're 1 in 5. You just got spanked on your home field. Are you guys angry?
Yeah, I mean, we're all competitors. We don't practice every week to come out and lose. That's not what we work so hard for. So yeah, we're pissed off about it, but we're the only ones that can change it. We have to go back to work and try to change this thing around.
Coach talked about CJ broke his arm and Tony the ankle. Have you had a chance to talk to either one of them yet?
Nah, I got to talk to CJ right before he got carted off, but haven't really got to have a conversation with those guys. So that's something that I'll try to do tonight, reach out to them and see how they're doing.
You started and you had a good pass rush, and then by the second quarter it wasn't as effective and things kind of opened up for them. What happened?
Yeah, like you said, I think we started fast like we wanted. Defense was getting off the field. We were getting pressure up the middle, making them hold the ball a little bit. I got to watch film to further assess exactly what happened. But, it seemed like he was getting the ball out a little bit faster in the second half. Their tempo started going a little bit quicker as well. And, overall they were just, doing better than our defense. So.
It seemed like at one point you were shooing off the boos. Did the boos bother you? Do you feel like they shouldn't have been booing you guys?
I mean, they do bother me, honestly. Obviously we're in our own home stadium. I don't want to be hearing boos from our own fans. I understand that they have a right to, be upset as well because they're coming to see us put, good football on the field. And, we haven't been winning up to date, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't like that.
What do you say to the idea that when you don't play well, you kind of deserve it in a way?
I mean, I don't think anyone deserves to be put down, no matter who you are. I'm not going to go up to a salesman and tell him that he's not a good person or boo this person because he's not doing his job or something like that. You know what I mean?
Leonard, with all due respect, that's kind of a laughable analogy, no one's getting booed it's a sports venue, right? You guys are getting pounded 28-3. You know what I mean? Can you understand why fans are angry?
I just said I understood why fans would be upset, yeah.
But you don't think they should boo?
It doesn't matter what I think. I go out there to play football. I don't sit in the stands, so I can't see from their perspective.
Last week, Graham described the performance by the defense as unacceptable. How would you categorize this week?
The same. I mean, we obviously gave up too many points. No matter what the situation was, we allowed them in the end zone too many times. No matter how we started off, we didn't finish the way we wanted to. I think guys on this team have a lot of fight in them. I think it goes to show that we played to the last second. Obviously wasn't enough, and we need to pick it up. But I think no one in this locker room is going to give up on each other. And we have the same group of guys that we did last year, and we were in a similar situation. And we were, one game off from going to the playoffs last year. And we're not obviously trying to compare it to last year or anything like that, but I think it just goes to show that guys in this locker room are willing to lean on each other and keep fighting.
What did you take out of Joe's challenge to you guys at halftime?
I think it's just more of a creating an identity is what he was trying to do. We knew that we were down. He wanted to see, who's going to go out there and keep fighting and represent for the guy next to them. And, don't hang your heads, don't drop your shoulders, don't look like a quitter out there on the field and keep playing.
How do you get that execution to match your preparation? All week, Judge was speaking about how you guys prepare hard, no one's hanging their heads, but we're not seeing that on the field.
Right. I mean, I think that's the question that we're all trying to answer right now is executing. I think, everybody has been grinding since camp. I don't question anyone on this team's work ethic or how they approach work every day or anything like that. I think it's just we have to find a way to execute it, like you said.
Leonard, from a personal standpoint, how ready are you to start winning? I mean, your career record in games you played in is now 34-67. I don't need to remind you. Your career record in games you played in is now 34-67. Obviously, it's a team game, but you've experienced a lot of losing. So from a personal standpoint, how sick are you of losing, and how ready are you to finally turn the corner and win some games?
I mean, as a competitor, it's really upsetting that I'm, in my year 7, and like you said, I've been having a lot of losing seasons. I haven't been to the playoffs yet in my career. and that's pretty tough. You know, a long career in this league is, you know, 10 to 12, 13 years, and, you know, I'm already close to half of that at least, and, you know, I want to obviously start seeing, you know, the tables turn and start winning, but, you know, I'm obviously not pointing the fingers and blaming anyone. You know, I look at myself first in the mirror, how much more can I do, and, you know, obviously lean on each other. I think I do love this team, though. I love how much fight this team has, and, you know, in the end of the day, even when we're losing, you could look a guy in his eyes and you can tell that he's still ready to fight for you, so I like that.